And what did the Vark do?
They stopped the car. They asked us to take a dirt road, to just move to a dirt road. And what happened in that kind of move was that one of the guerrillas that was there stepped on a landmine, and he blew his leg, and it was a bloody mess, really. It was horrible. The guy screaming, blood everywhere. And so I thought, they will need the car to take the guy to the hospital. So I didn't really realize that it was going to be an abduction until later on.
And but from there, you found yourself being taken further and further away from where you were going. How long before you ended up in a camp in the jungle?
Well, it was at the end of that day that we finally reached the camp where they were going to leave us for the night. This happened around noon, and we arrived to the camp around 5 p.m. So it was all the afternoon in dirt roads, getting deeper into the jungle.
Were they threatening you?
At the beginning, they were kind of, I would say nice, but they were respectful. I had this contact with the commander, it was unbelievable. I remember he at one point, because he wanted to, it was this, trying to scare me, and me trying to prove that I was not scared. So at one point he said, this is going to be hard for you, and you're going to learn how to eat anything, because the only meat that there is here is monkey. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. Monkey is a species in extinction. I cannot eat monkey. I'm a vegetarian. And actually, it was not true. I was not a vegetarian. But it was my way, to just confront him. And so he laughed. He thought it was funny. And so he said, and what do you eat? And I said, cheese and fruit. And he said, it's going to be hard to find you cheese and fruit, but we'll do our best. And he tried for the first 3 days.
Did you keep moving, or were you kept at that camp?
No, we kept moving. We stayed in that camp 2 nights. The second night, there was a raid, a military raid with helicopters flying over the camp. And it was very scary. That first, contact with reality was kind of scary. We had to leave the camp in the middle of the night, and it was raining, and it was curious because there was this full moon, and at the same time it was raining. So we could see things, and we could see the helicopters flying on top of the canopy.
But you could see the moon?
Well, we could see like the light. It was not a pitch dark night.
And where did you sleep?
We didn't sleep. We had to wait in the jungle until the raid was over, and eventually the helicopters left because of the rain. Next morning we packed the small things we had, and they put us in a truck, and we took the road for the whole day down south, down to the Amazonian jungle.
Into the Amazonian jungle? Was that towards Ecuador?
No, it was more towards Brazil. It was like a south.
Yeah. But you're still high up, aren't you? You're geographically high up, or have you come down into
No,
a low?
we were in the land. We were very low.
Was it hot?
Very hot. Very, very hot.
Were there insects about?
Yes, that was the first contact. I remember the third night we arrived to this abandoned camp. It was some place they had before, but they didn't use anymore. So the roofs of the compound that they had built had just fallen, and they were trying to just make some space in all the dirt and everything to put us to sleep there. And while they were doing that, there was this huge tarantula that was just there, and she, tarantulas have this special way of, defending themselves, a little like human, which is kind of scary, because they they stand up, and they just look at you. So I remember we had a flashlight, and I was, and there she was, standing, and then she went running away, and the girl, a guerrillera that was there with me, took her machete and threw it in half. And I thought, oh, that's impressive.
That was a girl from the FARC.
Yes.
So were there other girls? Were they men? Mostly men, or was
Mostly
it
men. Mostly men. I think they tried to have girls with us for the beginning.
Was that Fluff? Was her name Fluff?
No, it was not Fluff. It was Betty.
Betty.
It was a very short little girl, but she was a girl. She was very courageous. She would, I don't know how she did this. She had this enormous backpack that should have weighed a ton because she had ammunition to carry. And she would carry that for days because, of course, the beginning in the truck, that was the luxury part. Afterwards, they took us to the river. We boarded a canoe. We were for days down the river, and after we arrived to a place called La Bocana, they called La Bocana, we began our journey marching, and then I was marching for 6.5 years.
6.5 years?
Yes, I didn't know that at the beginning, of course.
Yeah. At what stage did you know that you were beyond easy rescue or easy escape? Or did you never feel that?
It was very scary because every hour that we were just getting deeper into the jungle, I was counting the kilometers that I would have to do back in my, in my obsession to escape. I tried to escape very, very early on. I think the fourth day I was already plotting how I was going to get out of there. And I remember the girl that had been captured with me, my assistant Clara, she was frightened and she didn't want to do it that night. If we had done it that night, we could have succeeded because we were still near to the civilization. After that, we were taken to this boat, and then once we were into the boat, it was very difficult to just get back.
Was she frightened of the night?
She was frightened.
Had she seen the tarantula?
Yes, she saw the tarantula. Yes. But she was brave. It was a brave woman. It was not somebody that would be scared for anything. But it was scary. We were surrounded by armed guys, and escaping at that moment was quite daring.
What were they armed with?
Rifles, Khalils, AK-47.
AK-47 machine gun?
Yes, machine guns. Yes.
And the girl was carrying the armaments or the weaponry on her back? Or?
She would have her machine gun and she would have her backpack. They all would have the same kind of, they all carry their huge backpacks and the rifles. And sometimes they had belts for the ammunitions.
And let me take you then to Fluff. Tell me about her, because you took a liking to her.
Yes. Fluff was I met her around the 4th year of my abduction. She was a pretty girl, young girl, very sweet, and she always tried to help in little things. I remember, for example, once I had, well, my hair had grown a lot, and in one of those marches I lost my hair band. And I asked the commander if I could have something to tie my hair with, and he said no. So I was very annoyed because, I mean, with the bugs and everything, it was, marching, it was difficult. So she was the one, you know, sneaking a little thing for my hair, and she was very scared, because of course if she was cut, she could have problems. So she did little things like this, and she was sweet, and she would always was trying to be nice and say comforting things. But what happened with Fluff is incredible, because once I was with her, she was my guard during the march, so we were marching together. And I had always problems with the march because my back hurt, and I was very bad at marching, very bad. Even though I wanted to be bad because I wanted to slow everybody. But truly it was also because I couldn't handle, I hadn't let's say the strength to march at the pace they were marching. So we were always at the end of the line. And we suddenly heard a noise, and she became very nervous, and she just threatened me. She put her machine gun, and she armed the machine gun, and she said, "Now you have to run, and it's serious." So I said, "Okay, I'll run. Where do I run?" And she said, "Run in front of me, and I'll tell you when to stop." And it was a transformation of the person. It was very, I was very surprised. And we arrived to some kind of rocks. We hid behind the rocks, and then we saw this herd of what they called cahuches. And the cahuches are like wild pigs running. And
how big are these wild pigs?
They were not very big, that big, but she was a hunter. So the thing is that then later on in the conversation she said, "Ingrid, you must understand that I thought this could be soldiers, that we could be surrounded by soldiers. And my order is to kill you if we see soldiers and they attempt to rescue you. So you need to be aware that it's not, I'll have to do it." And for me it was like, discovering the two faces of the same person, this Fluff that was so tender and at the same time that had this decision to kill me if she had to.
But she had been given orders to shoot you if the army caught up. What was the point of that?
Well, it was very simple for them. We were their trophy. It was a defeat, a military defeat for them, if the Colombian army could rescue us. So if they couldn't prevent us from being rescued by the Colombian army, they had the order to shoot us.
And Fluff, this delightful young woman who could turn so rapidly into a potential murderer.
Yes.
What do you make of that?
I would say human condition. We have all inside of us the light and also the darkness. We are very fortunate when we can bring the light out of us. But we have to be aware that in some situations the darkness could also be visible. And I think that for this girl,